conference will now be recorded.
City Council to order. Would you please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing as Steve Cagle from the Lodge Church leads us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for Monticello and how you have blessed our community. Father, we thank you for the men and women who volunteer their time and their abilities, and we pray that you'll help them make good decisions that bless the community and that honor you. We ask it in Jesus' name.
Roll call, please, Robert.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Woodham?
Here.
Mr. Carey?
Here.
Lively?
Here.
Ms. Yoon? Here. Mr. Burris?
Here.
Mr. Broderick? Mr. Kuhn?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Public participation, in-person participation. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. Those wishing to speak are required to sign in prior to commencement of the meeting and must address council from the seat and table provided. The public comments must comply with ordinance 2014-02 and be limited to 5 minutes or less. This evening we have Rob Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some questions and concerns. I live next door to the property that the Christian Church is developing for a house. I guess Kester Homes has purchased the lot to build a house for one of the pastoral staff. And they're going to build a roughly 15 by 560 foot driveway from State Street back to where the house is. And they've staked off the house, and based on the drawings that I have from that I granted the church back several years ago, I don't want to drill down into exactly when it was, but my wife and I gave the church an easement to put the stormwater in from the stormwater detention basin they constructed to compensate for their impact to the runoff coefficient for the church parking lot and sanctuary. Those surfaces are impervious to water to be able to be not retained, but retained, or not retained, but detained to be released at the proper runoff coefficient to meet the city ordinances, and get it underground and keep it underground and tie it into the tile that goes through my front yard and then underneath State Street and past the subdivision that Adkins recently developed. And the information that I gathered from Homer Chastain and Associates, who designed the stormwater detention basin, said that it was big enough to accommodate the church parking lot and the sanctuary addition, and that would be dedicated and, basically a permanent easement or a permanent structure to handle the stormwater. And now we've got a driveway of approximately 8,400 square foot and a 2,300 square foot house, or an additional 10,700 square feet of impervious material or driveway and house that are being built there. And I've asked for on numerous occasions the calculations with the rational method of determining the runoff for that change in the drainage coefficient, and have so far been unable to get that. There's a statement by the Steve Bauman, who's a registered professional engineer in the state of Illinois, who is also a trustee of the Christian Church, representing the owners of the premises, and therefore has certified the plat for that, and also made a notation that platting of the said subdivision and any part thereof or that if such surface water drainage will be changed, reasonable provisions will be made for the collection and diversion of such said stormwater. And my questions so far have been unanswered in terms of how they plan to collect and retain that water and release it at the proper rate. And it seems to be a conflict of interest that the engineer is also an elder of the church. And I think it's a fiduciary responsibility of the church, of the city, to have an independent engineer's opinion that, and be able to share and review the calculations for that with me as a concerned neighbor, because there's been a situation where there's been a stormwater snafu in Center State Street where this, in spite of the fact they told the engineer at the time when they developed Jefferson Grove that the sanitary sewer were both in a collision course with one another and they needed to make provisions to fix that. They didn't. They later on squished the pipe down into an hourglass and it filled up with corn stalks. And to quote Gary Siebens, he says, this is like trying to suck up an expletive amount of concrete out of this pipe because it all got plugged up and it backed up and flooded the basement of my house. And so I just am hyper vigilant about wanting to make sure that this, church, which is the said developer, maintains proper drainage construction for this project. And in looking at the stakes for the layout of the new house, it appears to clip the corner or the wing wall to the Chastain and Associates detention basin.
It's been 5 minutes.
Can I finish my sentence?
Yeah.
And therefore, kind of violates the area that's set aside to fix the runoff coefficient for the church.
I'm not prepared to answer any questions because I don't understand what you're talking about. Being a lay person, I would assume that city staff, if you've contacted city staff, they should be able to help you figure out what's going on. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, I think Jim's working with Rob.
I've got an email from Jim this afternoon with part of the information and, one of the obvious questions is that if you're going to build basically the depth of the stormwater detention basin is 5.5 feet deep. They're going to build a basement that's 9 feet deep. It's 1.5 feet of it sticking out of the ground to backfill up against and make sure that the water runs away from the house. I talked with the contractor today, and he doesn't understand the stormwater calculations and detention any better than you do. And he says, I just want to build a house, but I don't want to hurt you. So I'm trying to.
I understand.
City.
And
I'm sorry?
I do understand what you're saying. I appreciate your predicament. I think that if you just try to work with city staff and with the church and their representatives, I think you'll get your questions answered.
Well, I just have a heightened awareness because they've been cutting trees down this last week and they delivered a hydraulic excavator to dig the foundation that's on the site right now. And I would rather encourage the developer and the contractor and the owner to begin with the end in mind and make sure that those things are provided for ahead of time as opposed to creating a problem.
Have contacted the church about this? Have you tried getting
Well, the church
interest from them?
The church sold the lot to Kester Homes to build it. The church remains a developer. The contractor or builder doesn't understand the runoff coefficient issues and says, Rob, I don't really know. And so I just want to bring to light that there's a, potential problem.
Right, no,
And I would like to have an independent party rather than an elder of the church look at the calculations and share those with me to make sure that it doesn't fester into a problem later.
probably can be, I don't know if it can be resolved quickly, but I do believe that city is aware of the problem, you're aware of the problem, and I think if working together, we might be able to figure something out, okay?
Well, I would just,
Move on.
thank you.
Thank you. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. The public comments must comply with ordinance 2014-02 and be limited to 5 minutes or less. At this time, members of the public are able to attend public meetings by web conference and to submit public comment by email, voicemail, or through web conference. Anyone tonight? Thank you. Consent agenda. Approval of documents and action items is listed. Claims report. Claims dated February 24, 2026 through March 9th, 2026. Meeting minutes. City Council meeting minutes, February 23rd, 2026. Budget report, January 2026. Permit report, February 2026. Police report, February 2026. Fire report, February 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions of city staff? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Burrs?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. No mayor's report this evening. New business, public hearing, annual appropriations ordinance 2026-22. At this moment, I call the public hearing to order. Mr. Summers,
Is there anybody?
anyone want to speak?
Yeah.
Anyone to speak? Anyone online to speak? We'll see who's coming in.
Close public hearing.
I've closed the public hearing. Ordinance 2026-22, an ordinance for the appropriation for the fiscal year commencing on January 1st, 2026, ending on December 31st, 2026 for the City of Monticello, Piatt County, Illinois. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll get you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Terry?
Annually, the city is required to adopt the appropriation ordinance in the first quarter of each year. Public hearings to be held. We did that tonight. Notices were published in the February 25th and March 4th editions of the Piatt County Journal-Republican. As we have for many, many, many years, the appropriation ordinance, we add 10% to the revenues and the expenditures for any unknowns that may creep up into the annual expenditures. We did add the appropriation ordinance includes a couple of items that we talked about after that December 8th budget approval. An additional $14,300 for the new lift at the maintenance shed. Also reflects $27,280 to accommodate the anticipated street lighting costs. If you remember, Ameren gave us a little heads up December 9th after the budget was approved that they're projecting a 31% increase to the streetlights and an additional $30,000 for street salt for this year. And then I would like to request if a motion could be made to add an expenditure of $25,000 towards the Front Street project we recently discussed. We inadvertently left that out of the appropriate.
That's for right of way, is that correct?
Yeah, that's for that
Right of way up on Front Street,
project.
thought that was the last meeting.
I think if we can just make a motion to add 25,000 to the appropriation ordinance for that project,
Is there a
then
motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Hearing or seeing none, can we have a roll call on the motion on the amendment?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Hune?
Yes.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Go ahead, Terry. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Now, can we have a roll call, please, on the amended motion, or excuse me, the amended motion, that was correct.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively? Ms. Hune?
Yes.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. This time, we're going to have a presentation of the Sangamon Valley CEO presentation. Lisa?
Here's my best. Thank you for having us out this evening. The city is such a great supporter of Sangamon Valley CEO. We're in our 7th year this year and have 12 fantastic students from 4 of our districts. They did an fantastic job of recruiting in January, so we'll have an even bigger class next year. So really looking forward to that, and we'll have all 5 schools represented, I think, but we'll know after the board meeting tomorrow. One of the best aspects of Sangamon Valley CEO is just getting to have a front row seat to the growth of each and every one of the students as they go through the program, and then what a huge impact our local professionals make in their lives each year. They have 40 to 60 site visits a year. We'll have, they run a class business in the fall semester and an individual business venture in the spring semester. You'll all want to put May 4th on your calendar. We'll be at the Old Allerton Library Community Building from 5 to 7, and they'll each have their trade show booths set up. And so fun evening to see even more of their growth and what they're doing with their individual businesses. But the exciting part is hearing from them. So I am going to open the floor up to them and start with what has been a favorite site visit or guest speaker that you've heard from this year?
I'll start. So my favorite
Sorry, I should have started. Why don't we all introduce ourselves really quick? I should have, sorry. I should have cut it off.
So you're okay. My name's Kate Hillard and I'm from Monticello.
I'm Nolan Benning-Camper, I'm from Monticello High School.
My name's Kiana Hunter. I'm from Beeman High School.
Hayden Rice from Saragordo High School.
I'm Jamie Clockfilter from Monticello.
Go ahead, Kate. Take the floor back.
So far, my favorite business visit has been at actually KB Community Cafe. I just liked, because Audie talked a lot about like the core values of her business and like how that's really important when you're starting your own business. And so that's probably been one of my favorites so far.
We recently just had a networking event at Millikan University in Decatur, and it gave us a lot of experience, a big networking event, and so good experience of what college is going to look like and whenever we enter the workforce, get network with different professionals from around the area.
My personal favorite was Honey Zimmerman in Decatur, which was a site visit about conflict, because I feel like conflict, even though it's a very difficult part of life, is something that we all run into. And I think she really helped me rethink how to approach conflict and the best way to deal with that and how to handle that in a group setting.
I think my favorite was a two-parter, I guess. First semester, we were with Suzanne Wells, and she kind of talked about different zoning laws and things like that, and where you can make a commercial business and where you can live residentially and things like that, as well as like LLCs and big companies and solo corporations. And then that was followed up more in depth with Tara Gabarczyk just recently last week, and I just found that to be very interesting.
My favorite was actually with Kelly McFarland. I really like the Mercantile, and I've been going there with my mom for many years. So it was just kind of cool to see like how she runs it behind the scenes, and then like we even got to see the attic, which was kind of cool.
Tell them a little bit about class business. What was it? What did you learn from it?
So we did the Gingerbread Jock 5K. So The class last year, they actually did a 5K. It was the Grinch Chase 5K, and they did really, really well. And so we were having trouble figuring out what we wanted to do for ours. And we always were like, well, we could do another 5K, but we really wanted to make it our own. So that's where we came up with the gingerbread jog 5K. And so, yeah.
As Kate forgot to mention, she was our CEO. And so we had a really good team put together for who could help us run the business out of our group of 12 kids. And it was definitely a really good bonding experience. And I feel like that definitely made class more enjoyable, to be able to come to class and we were all working on the same thing and being able to put together an event for the community.
And what motivated us is that all the money that we make from the 5K goes towards our personal businesses. So I think everyone really wanted to do good. So everyone in our class can get the full grant that we use for our personal business.
What'd you have to do to get that?
We had to do a board pitch in front of the board, which consists of, how many members was it? 12, I don't know, 12. And so it's a little nerve wracking, like, I don't know. So we had to gather our stuff and we just basically told them like why we needed the money.
Kate briefly mentioned it, but we come from 4 different schools, so just a unique opportunity to work with students from different schools and not just, our own individual high schools. So.
It was like a very surreal experience when you've been working on something for so long and to actually see it all come together in such a perfect way. So I think that was very fun for all of us before heading up to Christmas break.
Tom, what your individual business is and what is one area of personal growth that you've had from St.
My personal business, I published a guided journal, and so I'm selling those right now. And I guess for me, like where I've grown the most from CEO is just I've always been more introverted and quiet and like afraid to speak up. And now I feel like a lot more confident in myself and I'm a lot more willing to put myself out there. And so I would have never made this much growth without CEO. And so I definitely am telling all like the underclassmen, like you have to do it. My little sister, I'm like, I think everybody who has the opportunity to at least like, try out or go out for it, they should totally take the opportunity.
My business is NB Property Services, so I'm providing residents with property services, lawn mowing, landscaping, garage cleanouts, moving companies, whatever they need me to do. Personally, I've seen the most growth in working and talking to other people. I've always been involved in sports and school activities, but this expands my network and I get to work with different kinds of people.
My business is Seasonal Bliss, which is a self-care box that contains 4 different therapeutic items in order to provide you all with a moment of comfort, one season at a time. As a way I've grown, I'd say I've gotten much more comfortable with just getting out of my comfort zone. I do have a habit of not doing that as much, but I think Sangamon Valley CEO provided the perfect environment for me to become more comfortable with doing things I would ordinarily do.
My business is called The Folded Garden. And so what it is it's paper flower bouquets. So it's basically flowers crafted to last that could last you longer than a normal bouquet of flowers could. And I think one thing that I've definitely learned about myself in CEO, unlike Kate, I've not always been introverted. I've been a very outgoing person most of my life, but it's helped me to be able to get my word across and get my point across instead of just rambling and rambling.
My personal business is Miss Jamie's Swim Lessons. And this is something that I've kind of grown on. I've done this in the past I've been teaching swim lessons for about 2 years. So I've grown it into something bigger and hopefully better. And something that I've learned about myself is probably holding myself accountable. I think this class really teaches you how to be an adult, I guess, more than anything. Like, I don't even look at it as like business. I just think about it as learning how to communicate and like waking up on time and like getting yourself to the place you need to be. So.
Any questions from any of you or anything else you would like to cover while we're here this evening?
You guys are all juniors and seniors?
Seniors.
Seniors.
I did not sound that good as a senior. You guys are doing great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've known Kate longer than any of them, but she would never admit that she knew me because she wouldn't speak to me if she walked by me. She's changed, and I really appreciate that. I see some of you out, and you're always very friendly and cordial, and I appreciate that. That shows growth. Yeah, Mike.
My name is Mike Rodino, and I sit on the county board here. I represent District 2, which is the city of Monticello. I will also say something about Kate. I was in a committee meeting at the mental health center this evening, and your book was passed around to every single member of the Pike County Mental Health Board and all the executives at the Pike County Mental Health Building. And they have nothing but fantastic things to say about it. So,
Wow,
well done.
thank you so much. I didn't know that. Yeah. I gave
There's not too much.
Yeah, I gave Tony his copies last week. Wow,
Yep.
thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for introducing that.
Anyone else have anything?
Any lessons that you're going to carry forth into college?
There's a lot.
I think personally, mainly organization. Organization is a big thing. And with organization comes the holding yourself accountable, kind of like Jamie talked about, just being able to time manage and make sure that you know what you're supposed to do and what's going on, and that you're able to do it without cutting time for other things. I guess having priorities and being able to do your work well.
Also just like professionalism, not even professionalism, but we dress up, we have to wear like what we're all wearing right now. We have to wear this every single day of class. Our classes start at 7:30, but we have to be there 15 minutes early. So at 7:15, no matter if we're in Decatur, Beeman, Monticello, every day we have to be there by 7:15. And so just those like life skills of dressing nice and presenting yourself nice and making sure that you're on time for things, and just all of those things are definitely things that we've all definitely grown to like understand the importance of. And I think that that will definitely help us going forward with college or whatever we choose to do after high school.
I think this program just puts us a step ahead in front of our peers. I know my brother's a senior at Millikan University, and he was telling me what he has to do in his classes, like give a pitch to a board and things like that. I'm like, I've already done all those types of things. So it's very fortunate to have a year of experience before under my belt.
This brings back into what both Kate and Nolan said, but I think what I'm going to carry with me is just a large amount of discipline, because it does take a lot of discipline to be able to dress nicely and be somewhere at time, and it takes a lot of responsibility. But I think CEO has instilled that in us naturally, so that means that it'll be easier for us to be able to do that in college.
So I imagine all of you had an interest in business, and that's why you signed up for the class. Now that you've had the experience, has it changed your desire or the path that you're thinking about going down?
Well, I'll go with this one. So I signed up for the class last year when I was a junior around this time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just kind of was like, why not? And over the summer, I realized I wanted to be a teacher. And so I was like, can I get out of this? Like, do I take a course that's about education? But once I actually started doing the class, I realized again, it's not all about business. It's just being able to communicate, which is going to help me as a future teacher, and just kind of being organized and being having that professionalism that I'm going to need in any future job.
It's something that they're starting to understand a lot earlier than most of us get to understand it. And then at the same time, will understand it even more so as they grow even more, is that value of networking. So even though like Jamie's going into the education field, she's paired with a mentor who is a superintendent. So she's making those networks and those inroads to a future profession, even at this age. And like those should serve her well, you know, throughout the years, because she's put in the work. And, you know, it doesn't matter where we end up in life, there's still those professional skills that our students need.
I have a question for you guys. So one of the beautiful things about this program is that it puts the participants and students in connection with things in their community they may not be familiar or aware of. So how many of the places that you've been to so far, connections you've made, did you even know were out there? Like, did you think of this area as an opportunity for your future? Did you?
Yeah, so for me, like my entire life growing up, I was like, I always liked the city, and like I was like, I don't like living in a small town. Like I didn't feel like there was as much, like I didn't feel like it had as much to offer. But being in this program, I've seen that like being in a small town is an advantage to us. Like you have so many more like personal connections you can make. Like everybody's like willing to help you, and everybody wants to help you, and everybody's very, very supportive here. And like I'm going to college in Chicago, but I'm like, I never thought that I would say this, but I want to come back to Monticello. So I guess that's like the program has shown me like how great of a community Monticello, or not even just Monticello, but like all of our areas that we're all from and stuff like that. And a small town is really like a good thing and can really help you with your futures.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived here all my life. Like my parents lived, like my dad lived here, my grandparents lived here. Like I always knew like about this town, but like at the same time I didn't, because like I look around and we go to all these site visits, and it's kind of like I didn't know this was in my own town, which is kind of cool, and it's just like really rewarding to have, if that makes sense.
Different perspective.
A different perspective, as Callie just said, that's not from Monticello. I grew up in Decatur. I was in Decatur for my whole life until I was 14 or 15, and then we moved to Cerro Gordo. And I had only been to Monticello one other time before this class. So no, I definitely did not know that there was anything, not anything worth coming here, but anything anything that was something that I also felt like I could get into. Like we've been to many places here that I've enjoyed going, and I personally would go back to, whether it's to ask more questions or to even apply for a job or something along the lines of that.
Else.
Seeing as we're the city council, I know you mentioned Suzanne Wells talking about zoning and LLC. What other connections or relationships between business and local government or the city have you made or learned?
So Shelly Crawford Stock, she's one of our mentors, and we met with her very early on, but she has been a huge help. And also so has Callie. Like all of them have been so helpful, and they just have made a lot of things a lot easier for us with our, not our individual, with our like our class business, the 5K, everything. There's been a lot of people who have been willing to support us like that.
One of their very first projects, and it's so early on, it doesn't come top of mind very quickly, is they, in conjunction with that session with Suzanne Wells on zoning, they have to then give their very first pitch as reimagining some space in the community. And then their very first pitch is to Mayor Stoner and Callie and Terry, and usually a couple others come and listen to that. But within the first month of the program. They are doing that, and really it came across kind of grassroots the first year. Suzanne told me what she was doing, and she said she wanted to hear their ideas. And I was like, okay. And then Kelly found out about it, and she's like, can I invite Terry and Mayor Stoner? I'm like, sure. Yeah. So the first year, I didn't even plan to grade it because I actually planned for it to kind of be a train wreck and just a way for them to get up and start secret. But was so impressed with it, even the first group's pitches, that I was like, well, I need to give a grade to this because they need credit for it, because they do an incredible job even from that very first pitch. And then they do that one as a team, and then have to give their board pitch as a class for their class business so that they're ready to do an individual pitch to the board by spring semester. So we kind of slowly give them opportunities so they get better and better at it and do more and more on their own.
Well, thank you all very much for attending this evening. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Continued success with your projects. I'm looking forward to May the 4th, so have your pitch ready when I get there, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having us, and thank you for the support of the city and helping to offer programs like these to our students.
Very good. You're off the hook now. You want to hear something good? We're going to have alderpersons reports. You want to listen to those?
No, you can't.
Start with Andrea.
I don't have anything, thanks.
Nothing? Cole?
No, sir, nothing. Good night, Mr. Mayor.
So disappointed. Tom?
Nothing.
Elaine? You always say something.
Well, I appreciate the heck of it. Yeah,
Pardon me?
didn't go.
Nothing?
Mark?
I don't have anything, Sydney.
Wow.
Good thing you didn't stick around for that.
Police chief's report. I'm sure he'll have something.
Just a few things. We had a presentation for the Cub Scout group, the Bear Den, here in church last week. Went over kind of forensic and evidence gathering, so they could, I think they call it a buckle or a loop or something. So that's kind of neat. We had a couple officers receive DUI awards, Lieutenant Lansford, Officer Kearney, for their DUI efforts last year. We did last week have our first meeting with the fireworks committee. It used to be out at Lodge Park. We know for sure it's going to be in the city limits. We did present an option last week that was maybe a little more enticing, I guess would be the right word, Kelly. So we aren't sure how that's panning out yet. The reason why we wanted to have a meeting now as opposed to 3 weeks ahead of time is because everything is new. You know, we had some traffic concerns, so we wanted to make sure that was addressed. Wherever it's at, whether it be north or south, we have an idea on how to plan. So doing this ahead of time definitely benefits us. And then here pretty shortly, we worked with mental health on a few things coming up. First are going to be the blue envelopes. That is for autism, or those that are on the autism spectrum and neurodivergent drivers. It's a blue envelope where they're able to put in a driver's license or copy of insurance card registration and give it to us. We found out when we worked with some of the life skills kids that there are some behaviors that may look to some officers that may look like other things that they aren't. So part of this, each year they have to have a year or an hour or two of autism training. We are going to bud the blue envelopes in with the training that the officers have, and that way they're able to identify, you know, is this a neurodivergent driver? Is this a DUI driver? Is this, you know, a mental health case? So it's nice to be able to identify those ahead of time as opposed to after the fact. And then we're doing a few things to reach out for Mental Health Month in May. Those will be done hopefully in April, so a little bit before May, but we'll really start pushing that out in the month of May for mental health month. But I do want to thank Tony, Kirk from their mental health and all the staff out there. They're kind of helping us out over the last few weeks and getting some of these programs out.
Thank you, Rob. Fire Chief's report, John Rupke.
Mr. Mayor, we ran 33 calls in February. Had some good training. First week we had 3 new members, so we were doing dining and doffing of our gear. The key is to get it on as fast as you can and get it on properly. When you do go into a fire, that gear has to be on very correctly, because several things can happen. One, you get burned, 2, you get smoke inhalation, things like that. And things happen when you're in a fire. So we had emergency SCBA escape, where if your mask got knocked off, your tank hose got cut, something like that. We did some training on rescuing those types of emergencies. Second week, we did radio communication and scene size up, again with new staff members. We want to get them comfortable on the radio. And that kind of helped. We had 2 fires in the last week. So that really helps with those new firefighters. The third week, we had Carl come out and did behavioral emergencies. We had a lot of medical calls, and a lot of them are behavioral issues and how to deal with some of that stuff. We also did the city required sexual harassment and cybersecurity. We had all the paperwork, and I turned that into Moira today, actually. Turned it into Nancy, Moira was there. So we are compliant now with the city's requirement for those 2 items. We also had a member resign in February, Colton Williams. So we're down 1 more. That's it.
Thank you, John. Any questions of either chief? Keep up with them. City administrators report, Terry?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor. Linked the last council meeting.
Oh, you're resting. I got you. No problem. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, aye?
All right.
See you. Well, I won't.